Hey everybody, I hope you guys have been doing fantastic. So I wanted to hop on here and just say, first of all, welcome back to Healthy Living. It has been months since I have done podcast episodes, just about anything, really. I've done short little snippets here and there, just to let y'all know what was going on. But I just wanted to hop on here and kind of formally reintroduce Healthy Living as a whole. When I first started this, it was a little over 2 years ago, doing video episodes, podcast episodes on Anchor, and it's all over different platforms, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, you name it, it's probably out there. And I stopped doing it back in April of this year. March 9th, I believe, was the last episode my wife and I did together talking about fighting fair about money. Okay, so since then, what has happened is in April, I went to Navy boot camp. Okay, I joined the United States Navy and I graduated boot camp back in June. Okay, it was right after my birthday, around that time. So right after leaving boot camp, I went to my first technical training school, where I was there for about 8 weeks. But with COVID and everything else, maybe a couple more weeks were thrown into all that fun stuff. But in October, I was transferred to my very first command out here in Virginia, which is where we're currently at. Okay, and through all of that, I make it sound so simple, but it's really not, because through that entire process, there's a lot of things that had to happen. For example, before I was able to go to boot camp back in April, I had to take most of March and get my health back on track, be able to lose the necessary weight that I needed to be able to lose to get to the point where I would be considered able enough to get through boot camp. So that's something that I had to go do. Took a lot of commitment, a lot of just going after it, really. Okay, and through all of it, fast forward to today, my wife and I were watching church on TV, and the pastor brought up this section of verses from Philippians chapter 4, verses 11 through 13, and I thought it was funny because not funny, but it was relevant, I should say, because basically I felt like I lived this passage all through boot camp, all through the weight loss process, basically everything, right? So chapter 4, verses 11 through 13 say, and this is, I believe, Job saying, I have learned to be satisfied with what I have and with whatever happens. I know how to live when I am poor and when I have plenty. I have learned the secret of how to live through any kind of situation, when I have enough to eat or when I am hungry, when I have everything I need or when I have nothing. Christ is the one who gives me the strength to do whatever I must do. And guys, there was moments, I kid you not. Let's go back to March. Okay, the weight loss process. I was 25 years old. My body was at a point where it was where it was at. And for those of you that are old enough to understand what I mean by that, you're probably chuckling watching this video because you understand, but a lot of people don't. So when you're in between that, like, I want to say 23 years of age and up, it gets gradually more and more and more and more difficult to lose weight. It's not necessarily hard to gain muscle. Of course, when you gain muscle, you have to maintain it, right? But it is difficult, extremely difficult, to shred weight. And I had to get down to, I believe it was 175 before the recruiters would allow me to go to boot camp. And at the time, I was weighing in at 205 pounds. So I had over 40 pounds that I needed to lose before I would be able to do it. And I had about a month to do it. Very unhealthy timetable to lose that much weight, right? So with that being said, I buckled down. I did what I needed to do. I went from eating anything and everything to steamed vegetables, and that was it. Twice a day. Lunch, dinner. Didn't even eat a breakfast, all right? So with that being said, on top of changing my eating habits, I had to also wear a weighted vest. I would wear ankle weights, wrist weights, and I'd go hike. And it was crazy. It was a very difficult time, and there was a lot of moments where, like Job and his wife and that whole situation, there are moments that I wanted to quit. I wanted to just buckle under the pressure, and I didn't. Instead, I trusted God, and I trusted his plan for my life and for my future. And so I did it. I was able to get down to, I think it was 178, and they just said, sure, whatever. You showed the progress, you showed the commitment, you showed the hard work. We know that you can do this, so they sent me. And then with that being said, going through boot camp, I can't share the details of boot camp, but it's a very challenging thing for me. A lot of people join the military and they go into boot camp fresh right out of high school, no life outside high school beyond mom and dad. I'm not trying to say that it's easy for them, but it's way simpler for them to join versus someone like me, someone who's a father and a husband already. So going into boot camp, for me, I had to get over the fact that, one, I was no longer in any kind of control. I did not have any say over what my day would look like from that moment forward. I would have zero control over what I was allowed to eat, zero control over what time of day I wanted to work out, where I wanted to work out, why I wanted to work out, and how intense the workout was going to be. I did not have any say over my hair, my body, anything. I went right into showering with 15, 25 other guys, men, okay, zero privacy whatsoever. Sleeping around 6 other guys, one on the rack above me, and then bunk beds to the left and to the right of me. So I had people around me 24/7. People I don't know, people I'm not familiar with, people who really had the same ambition as me of being able to make it through boot camp and graduate, and that was just the gist of it. Beyond that, we don't know anything about each other and probably don't even get along at the start, right? So again, just having to trust God through all of that was extremely difficult, but I did. And because I did, I persevered. And it was because of his grace and his strength providing me the courage and the strength to persevere. I did. Okay? So with that being said, I graduated in June, like I mentioned before, and went on to A school, which is what the Navy calls their technical training school, where you go to learn to do the job that you're going to do. And through all that, also different environment, different sleep schedule, different schooling schedule. So everything just, it flips your world upside down after you'd already gotten into a 8 to 10 week schedule that you were used to. Now your world is flipped upside down again. And through all of that, I wanted to touch on, before I forget here, just a couple of tips on how I was able to still manage everything back home, because now that I'm out of boot camp, you're given your phone back, you're given your life back, so to speak, on a certain degree, right? So with that being said, I had to manage my marriage and my children and everything back home. So there are different tips I wanted to throw in. So I will hop on here next with those tips. Okay, thanks. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Check out my next video coming this Tuesday, where we're going to learn some tips and tricks on how you can stay connected with your family, whether you're overseas, you're deployed, you're underway, or even possibly just at work that takes over 24 hours of your schedule. just some things that I used while I was away from my family across the country. So hopefully that's something that you guys are looking forward to. I know I am, and I will see you next time. Thank you.